Thank you for joining us for our December edition of 3Squares. We are wrapping up 2024. It went very quickly, and I'm sure 2025 will be no exception. Charlie Arnott with the Center for Food Integrity and Look East, dedicated to keeping the food system trustworthy. Here with my co-hosts once again, Kevin Ryan and Susan Schwally.
Hi, Susan Schwally. I've been working with CPG clients to understand how consumers purchase and use foods and beverages for about 25 years at a variety of market research companies. And these days, I'm helping out a startup tech company, which maybe I'll have more news about after the first of the year.
That could be interesting.
And I'm Kevin Ryan with Malachi Strategy and Research, helping food service and CPG companies at the front end of strategy and innovation.
And we're very excited today to have a guest who has a beef carcass hanging behind her. I don't think we've ever had that before. So if you're joining us on YouTube, you'll have an opportunity to meet Lindsey Loken, entrepreneur, enterprising butcher, public speaker, and the proprietor of Blondies Butcher Shop, Wanamingo, Minnesota's choice for premium butcher cuts. Now, it's easy to find Blondies. It is the only pink butcher shop on the main street in Wanamingo, and I'd be willing to wager it might be the only pink butcher shop for a large radius, maybe anywhere in the world. So Lindsey is the fourth owner of the shop, founded in 1934. They sell an incredible array of high-quality meat and poultry that you can preview on blondiesbutchershop.com. You can read her blogs on a variety of topics, including the secrets of sausage making with Lindsey, the Blonde Butcher's Brisket Breakdown, which is really important because if you don't do it right, you're going to get really stringy brisket, and that's very disappointing. And Blondie's Wild Game, the art of elk butchering, and much, much, much more. So, Lindsey, welcome to 3Squares.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I feel like I should turn the tables and be interviewing you guys.
Well, not today. Maybe at another time.
Incredible backgrounds. Yeah.
Maybe another time. So, Susan, I'll let you kick it off today.
Incredible backgrounds. I want to ask you a little bit. You have a fascinating story. You obviously have leaned into pink, and I understand you're going to be having girl jerky coming out soon. How did you get into such an interesting space within the butchering world? Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you decided to go with that branding strategy?
Yeah, I was raised, my mother was a large and small animal vet tech in our little farming community. And so I spent more time in a vet truck than I did at a daycare. Was going to go to vet school, never did because I didn't think I could euthanize an animal. I had cared for them my entire lives, and here the joke's kind of on me now. I've been in the butcher industry for 13 years. Should have probably gone to vet school. But for me, you know, going the pink route was more of an agritourism aspect point. I'm in a very small community where you only come here for tractor parts. You know, it's not a community that has a driving force for the general consumer. We're very rural, even though we're only 2 miles off a main highway that connects Rochester to the Twin Cities. But I had to do something to get them to come here. It was a little brick building in the middle of nowhere, and it was quite the family discussion. So if anybody's in family business or ranching or farming, you will understand where I'm coming from. When I went pink, I think my dad was about ready to roll his eyes and turn over. But the marketing tactic has boded very, very well for me. You know, I joined the butcher meat processing world when the butcher wasn't the coolest. 2020 really flipped the coin on the butcher back on mainstream. The art was really, really dying, and now it's really making a full comeback. You know, people are very, very interested. They had to cook from home. They had to cook from their refrigerator. You know, 2020 did a lot of great things for the consumer and bringing back the art of meat. So that was really my tactic, and it worked. Blondie's Butcher Shop was kind of a joke. My place was originally Wanamingo Meats, and at that point in time, a lot of my retired farmers that were responsible for bringing the steers in for harvesting would go to coffee in the morning, and you know, the other elderly retired farmers would ask, you know, what are you doing with the truck and trailer? And they'd be like, well, I dropped my steer at Blondie's. Well, then their customers started writing checks out to Blondie's Locker, Blondie's Meats, Blondie's Butcher Shop. And finally in 2020, I'm like, if there's not a better time to change and rebrand, it was in that moment. And we haven't looked back since. So.
Oh, speaking of marketing strategy, I mean, you mentioned, you know, changing and all that. I understand that you're also going to start doing e-commerce. And I'm curious, that's an interesting, and I'm assuming challenging thing to move toward. I'm just curious, like, what made you think to do that? What is, what has your journey been so far in getting that set up?
Yeah, it's a whole nother world. I'll tell
Yeah.
you from right now, we're hoping to launch in February. With that being said, for us moving into the e-commerce sector was really, we've outgrown the building tenfold as far as harvesting animals. I'm at the max of what I can do. And just looking to expand. I've been in the slaughter sector for, 13 years now, and I'm not getting younger and cattle are not getting smaller. Yesterday we did 400-pound hogs hanging, not live weight, hanging.
Wow.
Wow.
So my 5'3" frame on a good day, is feeling it today. So a lot of that was, to have something profitable to sell in case the slaughter industry returns to pre-2020 and people don't want to do it and it becomes more vertically integrated. But for me, it was something to really start focusing on in my mid-40s now and expanding and hopefully to leave something for my girls. And really to build a brand for women. There's so many women in the butcher industry that are just so hidden figures still, unfortunately. If I can bring a little light to that and bring a little more spark to mainstream meat processing and highlight those incredible women doing more jobs than I'm doing, that would be a really great goal for us.
Very cool story. Very cool story. So, Lindsey, I'm gonna ask you about some of those amazing products because your website is very impressive in terms of what you offer, and I'm sure it'll only get better once you go to e-commerce in terms of what people can buy and have shipped directly to their homes. But I was looking at some of the more than 70 very unique products you have at the butcher shop, and I want you to describe kind of the flavor profile and what makes each of these products unique. It's kind of a lightning round, so I'm going to give you the name of the product. Some of them are quite unique, and some of them I'm really, really curious to learn more about. So, are you up for that?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to start with your jerky category because you have several different categories and a long list under each category of what's available. Ufta jerky.
Yeah. So Ufta jerky is a garlic-based jerky. It's a whole muscle cut. It's not a restructured burger jerky that's or dehydrated, but it is a whole muscle. It's garlic.
Okay.
We chose really fun names for the Northern
Yeah.
Hemisphere. You never see jerky with fun names.
No, that was what I was so curious about. Now, Bubba is next.
Doesn't every small Midwest community have a Bubba?
At least one, maybe two.
Ours built my house. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the flavor profile of Bubba?
So Bubba's a little spicy. A little on the spicier side, but remember I'm in Norwegianville for a community. I'm an Irish girl that moved to Norwegianville and then married a Norwegian. So the palate profiles have to be doable for those who can't go much above ketchup. So we talk warm, not burning. So yes.
Cool. All right. Up north.
Up north is just a really great, almost prime rib flavor jerky. So it's got that richer, deeper beef flavoring to it than a traditional jerky would have.
Okay, and then the one that I'm most curious about is denture jerky. This is hysterical.
Yeah, so we do a ton of restructured jerky, and the joke is always we call it denture jerky because anybody can chew it. Whole muscle can be hard for some people, so we call denture jerky the universal jerky.
And is it a favorite of those who drop off their cattle to be processed there?
It's a favorite of everybody's. Yes.
Where do you get your inspiration from? Like, where are you just like listening to folks and what they like, or are you? I'm just curious where your inspiration for some of these come from.
Well, I've always been different. I'm probably borderline dyslexic, ADHD to the point to where I always, I'm bored very, very quickly. So I have a tendency to float, around the room and see what's missing or what I would change. It's kind of a game I always play with myself. So I kind of did that with the meat industry. The Minnesota Meat Processors Group has been an incredible group to be a part of and letting me in and seeing all their inner workings. And I kind of started spotting what was missing in the meat processing world. And it was fun.
Very cool. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna transition to brats. I love brats. I could live on brats, I think, for the most part. How many brat varieties do you offer? Do you know offhand?
Goodness, we've got to be in the 25
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
flavor,
easily. Yeah, it's
somewhere in there.
amazing. Okay,
And
so
we
I have
sell all of them, which blows my mind. I really thought
Yeah.
it would come down to like 4 or 5 profiles, but
well, that's the nice thing about it because I like brats, but it's nice to have a little variety, right?
right.
Because you keep having the same one over and over. It's like, okay, I'm tired of that.
And we don't package them in huge quantities. So, you can do 3 or 4 and bring a whole profile to the barbecue that weekend.
Yeah, that's fun.
Mm.
Okay, so Pulsa. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly.
You did.
Okay, what is it?
Pulse is a Norwegian delicacy, and we do thousands of pounds of it this time of year. In fact, that's what I'm doing after I'm done talking with you guys. Pulse is stuffed into a beef casing. It is a breakfast seasoning flavor profile mixed with beef and pork
Mm,
and powder, believe it or not, as more of a binder, I think, than a flavor aspect. But it is either baked or it is boiled, steamed, one of the
sounds
three.
delicious. Sounds
Yeah.
delicious.
And I even
Okay.
have some customers that chew the beef casing.
Wow,
Or not. Get some
yeah,
diehards.
really
They're not
diehards.
eating the denture jerky. Those people aren't eating.
Clearly not the same customer. Okay,
Correct.
now blue cheese sounds very intuitive. I've never seen blue cheese in a brat before. How does it hold up?
Amazing.
Really?
Amazing. We also do it in a summer sausage with blueberries.
Oh,
That
wow.
combination is incredible if you ever try that.
I'll bet that's amazing. I'll bet that's amazing. Okay, Philly cheesesteak.
Philly cheesesteak. It's probably one of our top sellers. That and the pineapple teriyaki for a brat. Believe it or not. You would think, more the beer brat, the smoked brat would be your traditional Midwest, but those are our 2 top sellers.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, now the sticks. I'm only going to pick a couple of those, but I found these very interesting. Bloody Mary. What's in a Bloody Mary stick?
It's the salt that goes around your Bloody Mary rim that
Oh, okay.
provides the seasoning. And so it goes great with the Bloody Mary. We
Sure.
sell a lot to those Sunday morning folks or Saturday evening. But yeah, it's just it's not an overwhelmingly profile, but you definitely pick up the salt, the pepper, the tomato flavor profiles.
Interesting. And then last one, hillbilly stick.
Hillbilly. It's just a traditional beef broth style flavor with a little garlic flair. It's very, very popular. It's just a fun, everybody loves stick from kids to adults.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
overall.
your naming of all of these is fantastic, and it just creates a lot of intrigue and interest in terms of, well, I might want to try that because I have no idea what it sounds intriguing. It sounds like it might be interesting, so maybe I'll have to try it. Very, very well done. So, do you have a personal favorite of all the things that you carry and sell at the store?
Oh, I'm an aged tenderloin baby, beef tenderloin,
Yep.
anything tenderloin, pork tenderloin, turkey tenderloin. I always go to that. As far as in my retail, we do a gritwurst. Have you ever had gritwurst?
No.
Yeah. So traditionally it's boiled pig head with steel cut oats and pig fat ground together, with cinnamon and sometimes raisins. It's a breakfast delicacy if you're from Wanamingo or Goodhue. But that is one of my favorites, believe it or not. You kind of fry it up like burger in the morning and serve it with eggs and toast. But other than that, I am the brown sugar denture jerky all the way.
Hmm.
From
Interesting.
retail.
Interesting. So tenderloin instead of ribeye, huh?
I am. I would fight
Wow.
all day long. I know the flavor profile is more robust in your ribeyes, and it's definitely probably the consumer favorite. I just, I'm a hardworking girl. When I sit down to eat, I don't want to cut around a bone or gristle, and I'm kind of a get to it kind of girl. So
Yeah.
I just really, really like it. Every bite is perfect on a tenderloin.
Very cool. Very cool. All right.
Kind of sums it up about the tenderloin. Lindsay, I love what you said in response to Kevin's question about how do you come up with what's the inspiration. And, the fact that you've used this potential ADHD dyslexia as a strength and see those connections, it's so powerful when you leverage that and for other people to see that. So, because you're so creative and have such an interesting story and speak so often, I am sure you get all kinds of crazy questions from people. So I guess my question is, can you share any of those things that have been really interesting to you? And what do you think is the biggest misconception out there about meat today?
Wow. Thank you for the kind words, first of all. I think all young kids coming up into the workforce, I think we categorize them as to where they are in the public school system. And I think I learned really young from an elder that was much smarter than me to hone in on my defaults and find the silver lining in them, and that I have. So kudos to anybody coming up that will embrace that and do the same. As far as the meat industry, repeat that second half of your question again, would you?
The questions from your audience, but like, is there any myth busting you want to do about the meat industry? What's the biggest misperception that you run into?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question we could go on in about 5, 6 different podcasts. And I think you all three would agree as well. The food system as a whole, I think everybody runs to Google immediately. Even from my social media aspect, we're really trying to grow a conversation, because I've even seen so many influencers out there right now that are influencing incorrect information. And I think that's extremely frustrating. I've spent the last 13 years in a meat locker, bridging the gap between the farmer and the consumer, and all the conversations that Google has taught them. And maybe their farmer hasn't been able to educate them. And so I find myself getting stuck in the middle a lot in conversations, whether it's over hanging weight and where did my meat go? This is what I paid for. Grass-fed is better, organic, all the conversations, just to teach the consumer that everything is a gray area. There's nothing black and white in the food industry. And is there always work to do in the food industry as producers and farmers and ranchers? Absolutely. Are we the safest on the planet? Absolutely. So I think it's just keeping those conversations going, are extremely important to me, and myth busting as much as I possibly can.
Lindsey, I was looking at your website and I see that you're catering. And in my former life, I also did catering. I'm curious, like for you, what's your favorite type of event to cater? Because I mean, as a caterer, I just remember there are certain things that you just kind of like, oh, this is great. I love doing these type of things. I'm curious, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, my favorite, we do a ton of weddings, but I would have to say the events that I do publicly. So we do a rib feed every year, and we end up with about 700 people at our rib feed.
Wow.
And, I start at midnight pitting ribs, and I pit ribs till 7 o'clock the next night. Those are my favorite events, the ones where people come out for the community and the atmosphere, and those are my favorites.
Right. And you live in like you said, it's a small community. How far away do you go to do these big, like 700 people type events?
Oh, I've been down to Kansas to do them.
Wow. Okay.
But mostly in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Predominantly all over the state of Minnesota, into Wisconsin. We've done some into South Dakota, but yeah, mostly local stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And if people want to get on your information list or newsletter or email so they can find out when the next Rib Fest is or where it's going to be, what would they do?
I would say hit us up on all the social media platforms, blondiesbutchershop.com. We'll keep you updated. There's a calendar coming up that's going to be plugged in on the very first page, where you can keep up where we're going to be. We do shop tours. We try to let as many consumers tour the meat locker and hear the story. We do a lot of educating for high schools, homeschool people, college meat science students, egg students.
Wow.
So you can follow along.
Very cool. Well, appreciate that commitment to transparency, because we know that's really important for people to understand and trust their food system. So thanks for that. Okay. So Lindsey, you might be aware, I think I've shared with you that we have a quiz at the end of every podcast, and Kevin is our quiz master. He's a chef, a food anthropologist, wrote a Betty Crocker cookbook. He has the most interesting quizzes that we've ever seen anywhere. So let's let the quiz master do his art.
All right. So This one, I was trying to be kind of Christmas orientated without, and the reason that my quizzes are challenging is because, Susan and Charlie, I got to try to beat them on these type of things. They know all this stuff, so I got to be pretty deep. So this is going to be Christmas related in some way. So, first question: what is the origin of leaving cookies and milk for Santa? Okay, is it A? In 18th century England, families would leave a small meal of bread and milk for chimney sweeps who clean their chimneys in winter, and the tradition evolved into leaving snacks for Santa. Was it B, in 1928, Continental baking company started a campaign encouraging kids to leave cookies and milk for Santa as a way to sell more cookies? Is it C, in Norse mythology, children would leave hay and treats for Odin's eight-legged horse, Sleipnir. In return, Odin would leave small gifts for the kids? Or is it D? Medieval parents left food and drink on their hearth for the Christmas night watch, a group of guards who would patrol towns for safety. And then it transitioned into leaving treats for Santa.
I'm going to go with the crass commercial option with the baking company that decided they wanted to sell more cookies.
Okay.
Go there, but then this whole Norwegian thing where you could you have possibly made up a name that you stumbled over? The Schleppen? I'm going with that one.
Okay.
Lindsay, and what is that name again?
Want it to be A, but I think it's B. But I also like what Susan just said too. But I think I'm going to go B. Follow the money.
Okay. Yep. Susan is correct. It is actually Norse mythology.
Wow.
Sleipnir. I can't say. Sleipnir is eight-legged horse that Odin rode. So it does come from original Norse mythology that you would leave treats out for his eight-legged horse, and then just went into Santa.
See, I just think, how far can an eight-legged horse actually go? So
right? Or it could go much further.
What does it look like?
I don't know.
I
just, yeah.
How do you spell that, Kevin?
Sleipnir.
Yeah, here we go.
Sleipnir, yeah.
So, Lindsay, do you process any horse? Would you process Sleipnir?
I have poached a lot of horses with veterinarians.
Yeah.
I did skin a stud that had gotten hit by a car just to see what it was like. It's miserable.
Yeah.
Their hide is attached to the muscle. There's not a fat layer. So you have to cut meat with the hide. It's miserable.
Yeah. Okay.
There's my
Yeah.
A Sleipnir is the legs are think of like a dually pickup truck where you got the two tires side by side. That you got every leg is a dually.
Well, when I was looking into it,
things going, but there's two hooves.
That's called all-wheel drive, Susan.
Right.
Yeah,
all-wheel drive horse.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
sorry to
wondering
interrupt,
whether or
I had to
not
know.
eight-legged horse translated into eight reindeer. I was like, I wonder if that is the... Anyway, I don't know. Number 2, hot cocoa mix is a favorite this time of year, but few people know that it comes with a unique origin story. What is that unique origin story of instant hot cocoa mix? Was it A, it was the result of a Wisconsin dairy company having a surplus of powdered milk from the Korean War that they needed to use? Is it B, it was designed for early 20th century Arctic expeditions as a high-calorie portable warm beverage that could be made with melted snow? Was it C, it was a World War II kitchen hack propagated by the U.S. government to comfort Americans that couldn't get ration coffee? It stretched cocoa with powdered milk. Or was it D, it was a railway kitchen invention in the early 20th century, a convenient solution to create a great tasting beverage with just the addition of hot water on the train?
I'm going to go World War II.
Okay, World War II kitchen hack to get around ration coffee.
Go Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle.
I think that one's a good one as well.
I'm going train.
Train. Okay.
Ooh, 3 different options.
I know, and you are all incorrect. It was Charles Santa is his name. He invented hot cocoa mix. He invented Swiss Miss. After the creamer his family's company provided to troops during the Korean War was no longer needed. So the basically U.S. government just said, war's over, we're done. And they're like, we have a lot of creamer left. And they're like, whatever. So he had to invent Swiss Miss in order to, otherwise his company would have gone bankrupt. So that's how Swiss Miss was born.
him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And Wisconsin is not Switzerland. That's the thing. It's just not even authentic.
Yeah, I
It's-
don't think they know what
you
instant
could
hot
have had
cocoa mix is.
Wisconsin barmaid, but it wouldn't have gone nearly as far.
Your answers are so compelling. The made-up
really
ones
are.
so
I do that on
compelling.
purpose.
I can't even
Very well
sniff out the
done.
real one.
All right,
Okay.
number 3. Gingerbread goes back hundreds of years, and for most of that time, it wasn't a frosted cookie shaped like cute people. All the following are historical uses of gingerbread, except one. Which one is not an associated use of gingerbread? Is it A, it was a food for the poor, made from breadcrumbs and honey, and made by monks? Was it B, it was used by children to learn the alphabet, with letters inscribed on a sheet. Once they learned their letters, they were allowed to eat it. Was it C, they were used as effigies or voodoo dolls, making figures resembling your enemies, dismembering them, or a potential love interest and devouring them? Or was it D, slabs of hard gingerbread were given as mariners' rations, and the preserved ginger believed to help with scurvy and prevent seasickness? Which is not true.
I'm calling baloney on the voodoo eating
Okay.
enemies.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the seafaring sickness prevention.
Charlie is correct. That is not true. No one used gingerbread, at least as far as I know. So the whole voodoo dolls, Queen Elizabeth was rumored to have served guests at a dinner party gingerbread people in their likeness, and some say she would publicly break and crumble the likenesses of people in front of them to show her displeasure with them. So it was
take
used.
that, I'm crumbling your cookie.
It was used as a like a voodoo doll at early.
Do that for my family Christmas thing. I'll make
There you go.
gingerbreads of all of them.
It's like a Festivus thing. All right, Charlie, I believe you are up.
No, Susan, we're tied.
No?
Susan,
Oh, you're
Susan got
tied.
one.
Tied.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we both have one.
4. All the following are true about Bailey's Irish Cream except one, which is not true. A, it was invented by an Englishman and a South African, not an Irishman or person. B, it was originally designed to contain the least amount of Irish whiskey as possible. C, it was originally marketed to senior citizens as a gentle spirit that could lighten the mood without upsetting the stomach. Or D, in 2023, major UK water company Southern Water publicly pleaded with its customers to refrain from dumping their unwanted Baileys down the drain because it could cause fatbergs in the pipes, which are not true.
These are so creative.
Going with fat in the pipes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with C. Made the seniors happy.
Okay. Susan?
Go the least amount of Irish whiskey.
Charlie is correct. That was not true. It was not originally marketed to senior citizens. All the others are correct. So it was created by an Englishman and South African marketers. They were given a brief just to come up with a Irish thing, but the company that was behind it had yet to sign deals with Irish whiskey companies. So they said, try to limit the amount of whiskey. Don't put as much whiskey. We don't know where we're getting the whiskey from. And yes, unwanted
Cream.
Bailey's down the pipes is actually been called out. You can go on Google, check it out. There's a couple of articles
It
about
causes pipe burps, you said?
fatbergs. It causes clogging of the fat in there, gets all
Oh.
clogged up, and it
Got it.
causes bad. Yeah. So yes, that is true. All right. This is the tiebreaker.
Bailey's out.
No. I'm up 2-1.
Oh, that's right. You are
He's
up
up
2 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Last
This always
one.
happens, by the way, Lindsay. This always happens.
Fudge, as we know it today, comes from which of the following? Was it A, it was a poorly made version of chocolate caramels, or in the vernacular of the day, it was fadged up caramels, or we now call it fudged up? B, in the late 19th century, American pharmacist Ernest Smith created chocolate fudge as a medicinal treat to mask the taste of bitter herbal tonics. Was it C, it was invented by early 20th century chocolatiers to make a chocolate substitute with cheaper cocoa and sugar? Or D, it was originally invented by Borden to sell their newly invented sweetened condensed milk, then popularized through the Joy of Cooking cookbook?
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with D as well.
Susan?
C.
Which one?
C.
C, the chocolatiers and cocoa and sugar? No, it's actually A. It was a messed up version of chocolate caramel. So it's believed that fudge was invented at women's colleges during the early 20th century, specifically Vassar, where women would, in their dorm rooms, make fudge over like a hot plate. They were actually really originally making caramels, but hot plates aren't really good at maintaining the right temperature. So they screwed it up, but it was good. And in the vernacular of the day, to screw something up was to fadge it up. And so that became fudge, to fudge it up. And that's where we get the word fudge, and also where we get the topic of fudge, or the
Still
the
trying to
thing
get
of
past
fudge.
women making caramels at Vassar, but
Yeah.
okay.
That was a common thing
That's
to do.
so
It
different
was,
than my college experience.
well, it was
Okay.
considered. It
Is
was
that before
considered
or after they got on
very
the eight-legged horse? That's what I want
Yes.
to know.
It was
I'm still on
considered
the
something they
eight-legged
could, they could do something that was like, it was seen as like very, you shouldn't be doing that. So it was kind of outlandish for
Oh, it
them
was
to be making.
scandalous?
It was scandalous to
Ooh.
make it in your dorm room. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so sweet it makes my teeth hurt. I cannot eat fudge.
I'm with you.
So,
Same.
yeah, not good.
Put it for
Too much
some
sugar.
Mackinac Island kind of, reference.
Yeah,
No.
No, it didn't start there. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, happy holidays to each of you. Thank you, Lindsey, for joining us. Susan, Kevin, it is always a pleasure to connect with the two of you. And thank you so much for listening to the December edition of 3Squares. You can always connect with us at 3squaresmail@gmail.com. That's the numeral 3squaresmail@gmail.com. Have a fabulous holiday season, and we will catch you in the new year. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. Bye now.
Thank
Bye,
you.
happy holidays.
Bye.